Hello and welcome to the Southbound Sports Show. I'm your host, Richie Leahy, here with my co-host, Matty B. And I'm kind of like a slower week. I'm surprised that with the Stanley Cup and the NBA finals going on, that it seems like there's a lot of hype, more so just because of the teams that are in it. Like the Knicks have been back, and it seemed like everyone thought they're going to get blown out. And we're recording the show early because of summer sports stuff. But right now they're still up 2-0. I don't know if they're going to, I think that surprisingly we're recording this on Sunday and there's no game for either of the major sports, which is crazy because it's Sunday night. That's predominantly where NFL gets their ratings. Sunday Night Football is one of their big nights. And for them not to have an NBA game in New York on Sunday night, I think is a missed opportunity. Right? They put it on Monday. And I really think they overestimate the Monday draw. But maybe I'm crazy. I know that used to be like a big NFL thing, and then ESPN hypes it up. But they don't get the ratings they used to because ESPN you have to pay for. Right? But they've been hyping up the Spurs as like the team of the future. And they have that giant guy, and he can't get it done. He cracked under pressure. He pulled a LeBron, bro. He passed it right into the back of his own player. And then he bricked the shot. He had a pretty good look. Like, then I saw, it's crazy. I wonder how much of the sports media now is really just some type of bot, AI bot, like reading the box score, because it incorrectly said that if he would have made the shot, it would have been a tie. But I'm pretty sure Brunson missed the free throw. So he was taking actually a game-winning shot. Like, I don't know if they were trying to underscore him, but like I saw a couple articles that popped up in my feed reader to get ready for the show that made it seem like he was taking a game-tying shot. But in reality, he missed the game-winning shot. And I'm pretty sure the Knicks won by 1. So I'm going to bring that up because I'll be the one that's wrong. And I'm like, this guy, he read the bracket. No, they won 105 to 104. So it's weird. Because as you do like the narrative of like promoting your guys, it's much easier for like a casual fan that didn't watch it and only reads the box scores for them to kind of look at it and see like, oh, he didn't like choke, right? He missed a game-winning shot that was pretty open too, by the way. Plus, he's like so tall that there's no one that's going to block it. He shot from far though. He pulled a Garnett, dude. That's what happened. Kevin Garnett used to do that. Drive me nuts. Where he's like out past the free throw line. It's like, dude, 3 steps in, right? It's like when you're playing horse like with other kids and you're like, you know what? I'll get him. I'll take 3 steps back. Just 3 steps back from my normal spot. I know they'll miss it. That's like where he's shooting the game winner from. And I thought, well, what a knucklehead, right? So they're up. Knicks are on fire. Props to Brunson, dude. I don't feel as bad. I don't know if I mentioned this last time. I don't feel as bad that Michigan lost him in the national championship game, like that Villanova year where he's like on fire, him and those other dudes. And I think they have a couple of Villanova guys on the Knicks. So it's like you get guys that have chemistry and they were unstoppable in college and now they're unstoppable in the NBA right now. I'm probably jinxing them, right? They're trying to say that Trump is going to come and jinx them. If he goes to the game as the first president, I think that would be at an NBA game. Which seems crazy. I don't know. Do other presidents go to other sports? Like Super Bowls or like the...
Do you know what I would do if I was president? I would literally go to all of the things.
I feel like that's
because
expensive.
They're probably not... No. I was like, no, I'm showing up.
Yeah, but you have all the bodyguards and stuff you have to do. I mean, I feel like you're making the games worse.
You don't have to.
Dude, you've been asked to their game lately and all the stuff they make you do? Pat it down.
I would just be in the owner's box, just chilling. Be like, hey, I'm coming. Don't tell anyone.
I'll say they could fly you in, but then that guy at Virginia Tech, he couldn't even fly in correctly. Hit the scoreboard, right? But I'm going to say, so the World Cup now, I talked about like all the protections they put in to like Steeler games or whatever other games you have where it's like, got to come through. Oh, you can't have a water bottle. That's what FIFA was saying. You can't bring a water bottle in. You could throw it at someone. And everyone's like, yeah, but you're selling them. Right? You're selling beer cans, dude. I could go into the bathroom, fill up my beer can, who even knows? Like, you could just put a rubber band, like in a plastic thing over top of it. If I really wanted to get creative, just walk in with like a couple of rubber bands and some like saran wrap in my pocket, fill up the beer can full of water, put that over top of it, because they take the caps off and they're like, gotcha, right? Can't make this into a weapon.
Now you can't fill it with pee and throw it on somebody.
Yeah, if you really wanted to, dude, you could do that. And then it's like aluminum is what the cans are now, right? It's like a pseudo bottle. It's not glass. I'm pretty sure it's like aluminum, but you still throw that and hit someone. At least a plastic one is going to be a little bit safer. I mean, that could be something we do where we just have, if you're listening to the show and you want to help us test, let me throw some bottles at you and let me see which ones hurt the worst. Like, turn around with the helmet on, so I'm hitting you in the back, right? That way you're not getting really at risk. But I feel like the aluminum one is going to be worse than a plastic bottle. Not as brutal as like a glass bottle though. But okay, yeah, don't bring it in. And then we did a show on that concert I went to where they had the refillable waters that were like full of gardenia or whatever that one disease is. It's like, oh yeah, perfect. Come in. And I'm probably saying the name of the
Gardia.
or whatever. Gardia, is that what it is? Yeah, so like, yeah, good, get that. And thanks, guys. But you can bring your one filled up. It's going to be hot. I already see the European countries complaining about the heat too. Awesome. Right? Come to the United States. And some of the ones are playing like in Mexico too, so it's even going to be worse. But the last one was in Qatar or whatever. I don't even know how the people who are listening to the show, they're like, this guy can't pronounce anything.
Qatar.
Qatar. How do you pronounce that?
It's Qatar.
Qatar. Right. I think I said that right. But
you were close.
But that's like in the desert too, right? I think it's smaller. Yeah. They were saying that it's a little bit easier when you play in a super small country like that, because then all the security is right there. And I'm thinking, as a fan, that's more annoying though, because you're not going to have as many hotels. They were like kind of pitching it like the Vegas thing, where, oh yeah, you can go to Vegas, and that's a kind of with the hockey. I've seen a lot of people that are just anti-hurricanes. Of course, that's where I live now, right? So I'm seeing it a lot more, but I get it. A lot of friends I have are like from Pennsylvania. They could be Penguins fans, or even like fellow Michigan fans, right? That like the Red Wings, and now they're kind of pseudo rivals with the Hurricanes. But I haven't really seen anybody that has any feelings towards Vegas, because who lives in Vegas, right? That's more of like a tourist city. So how is anyone like a fan of any of their teams? It's not like, I mean, I guess New York's kind of like a tourist city, but they have millions of people living there. It's like the most populated city in the United States. So that's a little bit different. With Vegas, they have all these newer teams like the Raiders, where you're bringing them in. The Raiders have their own fan base already. But the Golden Knights, that was a new franchise. And they lucked out the way they did the lottery for them, right? So they already have a cup championship, I'm pretty sure. They've already got the Stanley Cup a couple years ago. They might even have, they have multiple? And now I'm curious, because didn't they get one? When did they start? Do you remember? Was it around like 20 something, or was it 2019? I thought it was a while ago. 2017. So they only have one. They were close the first year. That's right. With Fleury, right?
Yeah.
And then they lost. Because then they won it after the COVID year. And then like the Seattle, and then Utah has like the Mammoth now. There's like a lot of weird teams that are like coming in. And it's just odd. And then there's like no Canadian teams that are making the cup or winning it. Has to be infuriating, I think. But the series is crazy, and I brought it up because you're going to overtime, double overtime. It's back and forth. And some people are saying, like, Hurricanes getting swept. Hurricanes don't deserve to be there. I'm like, the Hurricanes have one of the best records in the league. Vegas, it looks better now, But that's because their goalie, wasn't he like suspended or whatever? They like had an investigation into him. I don't know if that's why he missed, but he got back in April. So I don't know if that's going to be the deciding factor. Let's see if I can find why he was actually out. Now, he was suspended, yeah, for an assault. So he came back, and he's been pretty good. But I know people have been booing him, and now US Weekly had an article before the Stanley Cup about his controversy, if you want to look it up. Carter Hart. So maybe they lucked out having their goalie come back to a decent team and making him better. But I feel like goalies sometimes can get figured out. Where if the Canes, they got hot, was it last night? Yeah. Where they got 3 goals in like 30 seconds and they came back and they were in control in overtime. And then horrible way to lose. I think they own goaled it in, right? I think that was the game winner. I think they had 2 own goals. I'm pretty sure that was the game. Because I was all fired up, so I don't remember. It seems like their hockey's been going back and forth easier than like the Knicks endings, but it has to be good. I don't know what the TV ratings are going to be, but the games are so intense that if this is on major ABC, so ESPN has to be feeling the pressure where they're putting like hockey and stuff on the actual network, probably because they know that live sports brings viewers in. So they're doing double time, I'm pretty sure, where all the NHL Stanley Cup finals and the NBA finals, I believe, are on ABC. That's why I think it was a little bit odd that people were complaining today while we were doing the show that there was nothing on, because that's how ABC kind of had it set up, where, hey, you can go ahead and see all of these games. So ESPN's actually advertising it. So now this would be a good thing. Yeah, they're all locked in for the hockey. That if they go game 7, they're set up for all of them on ABC. And then, I don't know, did they even have a page for the championship series on here? I mean, I'm pretty sure they were on ABC. Maybe I'm wrong, but that was the one thing that I think they could get right if they're trying to promote the other things, where you have all these other sports can't compete with football. Now you have 2 sports on the same network, same exact week, basically the same exact time. I think hockey starts at 8, basketball starts at 8:30. So you're realistically looking at the same exact television window. What are the ratings between the 2? Is there a gap between, is there that much of a gap between hockey and basketball? And then compare that to and football's in a different window right now. But having 2 championships on the same time is either going to help ESPN or it's going to show the gap with hockey behind. And if basketball is down too, then that's going to be rough for them. Right? I don't think they're going to get out of the live sports thing, but they have to be hurting right now, because it seems like we talked a little bit about college last week, and I'll get a little bit to this maybe next week, but I just want to mention it. So as a comeback to the connection, there's also that college, is it CSC? I can't remember the abbreviation or what it even stands for. I think it's College Sports Commission, where on the side, outside of what Congress is doing to get teams to buy in, they're trying to have a new governing body that I'll give the NCAA power, but they're giving it as kind of like an opt-in thing, so they really don't need the government power. And I saw the Big 12 was coming in, and it said we had all teams on board. And I thought, there has to be no way for Texas Tech to be on board with any of this stuff, any of this garbage, where they're trying to limit spending. Because for the first time, other than Mike Leach years, Texas Tech is relevant in a lot of sports. And it's 100% because NIL. And so why in the world would any team in the Big 12, you have them, you have BYU that was always left behind. BYU is relevant again. SMU's relevant again, a team that had the death penalty. 3 teams off the top of my head that I don't understand how in any world they would sign off to have some big brother thing unless they really think that there's going to be some world where they wake up and the top half team split off.
Well, you might as well throw Miami into the ring there, because they just went out and got whoever the top total quarterback is the last couple of years. They're throwing ridiculous amounts of money around too.
What did they sign up for that revenue sharing stuff? Because that's what I'm talking about. Texas Tech, the Big 12 all went in, and they're trying to get other conferences. I think all the Group of 5 have joined it, where they're trying to give the power back to the NCAA by joining as a workaround. They're joining like their own voluntary sports commission that would then help them kind of do like what the Players Association would do for the NFL or whatever. Well,
one of the things I was looking at that they said with Miami being a private school compared to Florida and Florida State is that Miami doesn't have to disclose some of their financial stuff. So they can be really funneling a lot of money, and they don't have to report it to the state the same way that other schools are. So it's giving them a bit of an advantage in this new era.
Well, that's the same with Notre Dame. Did you see that they said that they tripled their spending? Like someone leaked that their spending has tripled, but they can't get the numbers because they're a private school and they don't have to report it. So realistically, most likely it's a disgruntled booster because they probably came back to them. I mean, what was that? Was it the Florida State presentation that we saw from the ACC meetings where like they actually leaked the PowerPoint that had the numbers that they were spending? I think it was them or Clemson maybe. But like they don't have there's no version of that for Notre Dame. So it's going to take a booster or someone to really leak that information and say, yeah, they asked me for the first year for like $100,000. Now they said that everything tripled. They need $300,000 from me. We're not winning. So why am I paying? Because a lot of it's going to be on the coaches, right? Freeman's there and NFL's going after him hard, where kind of like Harbaugh, every year Notre Dame's going to have to do a dance. That's the one thing Ohio State is kind of lucked out on, where the NFL doesn't really want their coaches because they're like, you guys, every time you're playing someone that has equal talent to you, you're losing. NFL, we're doing equal talent every week, dog. You can't.
It's like Mike Tomlin. They're like we're happy with you where you are. We're not actually out to take you or anyone that's coaching with you.
I mean, seriously, like Ryan Day, I feel like he comes up like randomly. Like the Bears might be interested in Ryan Day. Like, is it him on the phone? Like saying, hey, I got a tip from the Chicago Tribune. Like their Bears might be interested in Ryan Day. I mean, wait, what? Like, write that in. See if I can get an offer. Come on. It's like his family calling. Just like his wife was like, he doesn't dye his beard. Like, that's only makes me more suspicious. Because if he didn't care, he wouldn't say anything. But yeah, some teams get interest, some don't. Like, okay, I get it. Right? That's why you say all you want about, oh, these coaches don't really know how to coach. It's like, man, if the NFL wants you, there's a good reason. Right? If Marcus Freeman would go to the NFL, it'd be better for Michigan, 100%. 100%. I did see Notre Dame fans were out in a tizzy, right? Because they're blaming USC for losing the rivalry. But USC fans are saying, like, yo, we wanted to play you guys in September. You don't want to move the game because you lose the cupcakes in September, like Northern Illinois and stuff. Right? So if you're not ready to play in November against those, or September against those guys, you're going to be losing us. That's why you're afraid. Get us to play in the cold in November in South Bend. Like, all right. Play in September, the cold advantage goes away that Notre Dame has at home every other year. But again, USC doesn't have to play there. So I'm glad that USC has kind of stood up. They stood up against a private equity deal with Michigan. They stood up against Notre Dame. I'm glad they're coming around because having a power team on the West Coast in the Big Ten is very helpful because they think they're going to help with some of this legislation too, because like California is a huge state. So they're not going to want their schools, UCLA and even USC. I know USC is private too, so they get away from some of this stuff. They're not going to want their biggest schools to be left behind, like the biggest states. So we'll see what happens. There's really no new information other than the CSC is trying to get an agreement that would effectively enforce rules against all member schools. So basically, they need all 68 Power 4 programs to agree to help them with like the House settlement, where if everyone says that they agree and this is like a voluntary club that they're all going in, then there would be an oversight NIL clearinghouse that they would oversee, that's going to review NIL deals and say yes or no. Which, who wants that? Right? Because we see with the NCAA right now, you get a bunch of like cranky Ohio State grads that are there, and they are just investigating or like complaining about Michigan. And then what? Right? The Big Ten had all the coaches come on and complain about Harbaugh. Like, awesome. Yeah, great converge, great teamwork there. Way to get everyone to converge and like work together to help better college football, the Big Ten. Like, great. Harbaugh suspended, then he got cleared anyway. So like he was suspended for no reason other than they were like, I guess Michigan is good. They won without their head coach a bunch of games. Awesome. So I don't like it. The Big Ten is kind of not getting in, and they need everybody. So I'm hoping USC and Michigan stand tall and say no. And honestly, I'm surprised Texas Tech is in there, because the last thing they need is some disgruntled Texas people saying, hey, you know what? We don't like this deal. Because a lot of their money is tied up in the oil, right, industry. They don't want them saying like, nope, we want only environment-friendly NIL. And then Texas Tech's like, what the heck? And they're like, look, buddy, you signed up for this. You opted in. You did not have to opt in, because that's what they're looking at, right? Because that's what they used against Harbaugh in Michigan. They're like, you guys were supposed to, you guys opted in, you put in your receipts, but you didn't say you got extra stuff on this cheeseburger or whatever. Like, they really pinned down, and it was so ridiculous and over the top that it opens a ton of other weird stuff. And then you see it happen with teams all the time. A lot of times teams do it to get out of coaches' contracts, where they're like, see, you didn't tell us. You didn't tell us that you were calling these lady numbers, coach. They're like, oh, is that wrong? Should I not have been doing that on my work phone?
Oops.
Couldn't do it on my personal phone. My wife could see that, right? Where else am I supposed to go? You want me to have 3 phones? Are you serious? I almost wonder how that combo went. But that's what we're looking at. That type of thing, because you now have people coming up. I think we talked about the Myles Garrett trade last week. You have the same thing happening, and it's happening with Major League Baseball with their salary cap, where I see a lot of, now the owners are trying to get the fans riled up, and I think they're doing it on purpose because they want the fans to say no to a salary cap. So now you have fans getting ready to petition against Major League Baseball. They don't want a salary cap because they say that it's costing players money, but we've already seen it. It's costing only like the top 10% of players, if that, any money. And most of the time it's like the top 5 players. And how many big time contracts, Bobby Bonilla, do teams pay that are probably not worth it to the fans, the team, anybody? Because like, how many big time contracts end up being busts? Probably a good number, right? Does it matter if some guy like Bobby Bonilla is collecting hundreds of millions of dollars? Like, how, as a Mets fan, how's that helping? It's not. So give me a break. What they need to do is, I don't care about the top half. If you're that mad about it, have them raise it a little bit more, but keep the floor there. If you don't have a floor, then you have these bum programs, Pirates included. I know they're like right below it or whatever, that haven't been paying at all. And then their teams suck. And there's no one accountable. And they're like, oh,
I'm glad that you said that, because that was exactly where I thought. I was like, you need to have a floor and you need to have a ceiling. That way you're kind of preventing the Dodgers, the Yankees of just blowing the top off of whatever they feel like paying, and no one's going to touch them. I think that squashes that, and then you also hold, like, I think you have to spend a bare minimum to at least make yourself semi-competitive.
well, I had someone reach out, listen to the show, that brought up the stock market thing that I've been talking about, where like you have team ownership. And I honestly didn't even know, but they brought up that the Knicks are owned by Madison Square Garden, which is like an option, kind of like the media one that owns the Braves. I forget what the Braves one's called. It's like Liberty or something like that. Liberty something. I'm probably wrong, but there's like a couple different Braves ownerships. But you can actually own parts of the Knicks and the Rangers as part of the Madison Square Garden ownership. So if you don't have an NBA team and you want to get in and you're liking the Knicks right now, go for it, dude. Because like I said, I still stand by my prediction. I think fans at some point are going to reach a tipping point where you've already seen it with owners. They get old. They get into controversy. They have their kids take over. The kids are horrible. People don't even like them. They don't know what they're doing. And they start to lose money. So then they either sell the team or they try to do whatever. And I think you're going to get to the point where a lot of the teams just have some form of either they're owned by a group like that, where maybe the owner, it kind of distances them a little bit and gives other people voting interest, and they'll have a board and all this stuff. Because like right now, the Chicago Bears have a board that's helping move them and create a new stadium in Indiana. Right? So they're not even going to be on the Illinois side anymore of Chicago. They're not even going to be in Chicago proper. Let's see. I can't remember the name because I haven't been to Chicago ever. So I don't even know what it would be. Where did I send that to you? Yeah, they're moving to Hammond, Indiana. So they need to decide. There's like a Wolf Lake property.
Move over, Bobby Knight. They're now a football school.
Yeah, they saw Cignetti was there. They saw he's on the cover of NCAA football or whatever, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. And so they're like, we need to get in on that. We need to be on the winning side of whatever that lake is. Can't be in the Illinois side anymore. Brett Bielema, are you kidding me? That's our college coach? No, it's Indiana for the win. Because now, like, you're an Indiana, like the Colts fan. Like, what are you thinking? Like, oh, thanks, guys, just what we want. But you have a board, and they kind of put it like the board's voting on this, right? So it gives the owners kind of like an out. Oh, it wasn't me. I'm old. I don't even know what's going on half the time, right? So we have the board vote, and they voted this. And so I think that over time, it's just going to happen more and more, and there's going to be more of like a chance. You're not going to see like the average Joe get voted up. I have seen a lot of like the Packers players that like, or former players that get involved and sometimes work their way up as like part of like the voting board there or whatever. And so I wonder if a lot of teams will start to have that, because that's a good look, almost like a Michael Jordan path, where it's like, hey, former players now like an owner, look how we're empowering the league, where you can actually make an impact as part of this. And then it kind of distances them, because then the former player doesn't have to put all of their money in to buy a team, because they're getting expensive now. And it's only going to drive up the price too, right? Because like for Major League Baseball, whether they want the salary cap now or not, if more teams join the Braves path, you're going to see that come in, because I really think that the majority of people that are invested want some type of fairness. Otherwise, I saw someone propose that, hey, if you don't want it, then why don't we just cut as part of the lockout? Why don't they just force a cut in teams then? Because if teams aren't going to invest and they're losing money, what's to say? How are you going to convince someone else to own one of these teams? Because how many times have they tried to talk about moving Tampa Bay every year? And Tampa Bay, I saw the stats. They're one of the winningest programs in the past 2 decades or whatever it is, decade or two. But they're like 4th, I think. I don't know if they've ever won the World Series. I don't think so. Did they? I knew they were close that one year. I'll look it up. But yeah, they've been winning and they still can't make money. And you're trying to get like an ownership to move them and do whatever. I've talked about, they could do like relegation or move it or try to use like switch with the Durham Bulls and try to get another team up here. You see Carolina Hurricanes selling out for the Stanley Cup and then trying to get, even whenever they're playing in Vegas, you have a full stadium. Like, yeah, that might be better because you have a lot of people from the north moving down to the Carolina area that have teams, and it's kind of like the perfect melting pot of having people from the area be able to go to see their favorite team. Like, I'm from Pittsburgh or whatever, I'll come see the Pirates play, or I see the Yankees come into town and all this stuff. If it's not working out and you have an owner that doesn't want to move, like, what are you really doing? Huh? like they have the CEO, but the owner is there. He lives in Jacksonville. Like he's a board member of the University of Florida Board of Trustees. He was born in Detroit though. I don't know if he's moving back up there. No ties to Michigan, right? Shame. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? But if the Bears move, like no one's going to know. They're not going to change the name. Like the Hammond Bears. No, they're going to be Chicago. And some teams, I even wonder if they moved away. Because like part of the Green Bay agreement is like they never...
Keep the name. Keep the name.
Keep the name. Live wherever you want. Because that's kind of what they were trying to do with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, we move you to...
Yeah, we're the Chicago Bears. Where do you live? Jacksonville.
Like, you have Jacksonville Jags. Where are you guys from? We play in London now. 6 of our home games. Haven't you been paying attention? No one watches us anyway, right? They're doing this weird thing where they want to see if people will watch 9 a.m. on Sunday. You wake up, watch the Jags play. It's like the reverse Atlanta Braves where they're like, hey, you can watch the Braves on TBS or the Cubs on WGN.
Manchester United.
Here you got the 9 a.m. game, the Jags, baby. And they put on the CW or something. The CW game. And it's like only for diehards like us. Like, you're at church, what are you watching on your phone? Like, the Jags are on. Are you serious? You know, I got Trevor Lawrence. He's my backup QB. I might need to put him in a couple weeks. They're like, you're not even playing him and you're watching him. You're like, I need to know. What if he stinks? Got to see what he's up to. Did he cut his hair? No, he's wearing a wig cover. Did you see that video? Ridiculous, dude. Who does a fake haircut? Must be bored down there. But yeah, is there anything else you want to talk about for the NFL? Bears, Myles Garrett. Oh, do I even talk about Myles Garrett? I mentioned it, but Aaron Donald, they were trying to get him to come out of retirement. And I saw a lot of old people like Kelsey's brother, the one that's getting married. Who married Taylor Swift? Travis? What's his other brother? Yeah. Jason? They're getting married at a stadium, right? You going to go?
No.
I wonder if you could bring a water bottle in.
You just got to power through maybe a Bud Light.
He did chug it at that Cavs game. And people were like, she's going to actually marry him. She went to a Cavs game with him. She went to Cleveland, bro.
It must be serious. He went to Cleveland.
Yeah, how the heck did he get her to go to Cleveland? They're like, maybe people are thinking there's a body double. That he's not marrying the real Taylor Swift. Like the celebrity one that's taken over that goes to Cleveland and stuff.
Like it's always sunny when they go see Donovan McNabb.
Yeah. That it like helps promote she created a doppelganger that goes to Chiefs games and Cleveland games. She stays at home. Yeah,
and you too can just sing about random songs.
So yeah, you have that going on. I don't know how so his brother's saying that they should get a lot of players should just start to protest that if Aaron Donald and Myles Garrett come together to play on the same team. But is there anything they can do? Like, the NFL can't step in if Aaron Donald unretires like in July for mini camps or whatever. They can't say, hey, you know that trade from 2 months ago? Denied. Right?
No, but I mean, even at that, like, who cares? Like, isn't essentially what Aaron Rodgers doing basically being the same thing? Like, he's in the league, but then every offseason it's like, I might be coming out of retirement or I might stay retired. Who knows?
Well, see, I think it's almost like they traded for that guy, but they're trying to bring back Aaron Donald. It's almost like they're acting like it was Tom Brady. You know how he like moved to Tampa Bay and then brought his friends with him. But like, let's say if his friends ended up being like, he brought in like 3 retired dudes, like Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, and Ocho Cinco all came back. And they're like, oh yeah, we're just playing with Tom Brady now. Like, right? Oh, awesome. You have all these legends on your team and then they win the Super Bowl. I could see teams getting mad about that. But Aaron Donald played for the Rams, right? They're not bringing him in from like another team as like some kind of workaround where a guy retires and then he's signing just like randomly with the team, right? So, yeah. I mean, they did the trade if they can get the salary cap to work. I really don't think there's any nefarious thing with like a workaround. Like Aaron Rodgers going to Pittsburgh, great. Going to unretire, whatever. They bring in like his coach and all this stuff to try to help him out. But it's not like he retired and then had like 4 other guys retire. Now, I brought up Tom Brady. I don't remember how Gronk did it because he ended up at Tampa Bay, right? So like, did he retire and then get to sign a contract with Tampa Bay, or did they work a trade? Like, I don't remember the details. That would be like, to me, that would be a little bit more crazy. Where if the Rams were just like picking up another Hall of Fame dude like Gronk moving down there. Now, other teams didn't really complain because they were thinking they think he's not that good anyway, right? But for Aaron Donald, they know he's like one of the greatest of all time. So for him to come back and win a Super Bowl would be a big deal, I guess. But anything else you want to add in there?
The only other thing, like as far as that trade, and I just saw an article about it that had me rethinking some of the free agency talks, because it's not something that I would ever like really put in my mind. But when you look at how that Verse Garrett trade played out, with Myles Garrett going to the Rams, like he ends up losing a lot of his money, which I'm surprised the Players Association doesn't make a big deal about that. But like, they're not factoring in with these salaries, like the cost of living in some of these states. Like, you're going to California, you're going to pay like so much more in taxes than you will in Texas or Florida. And it's like, yeah, you're signing these bigger contracts, but are you actually taking home any of that money, or how much of that's going towards your state taxes? And it's just kind of like, when I read it, I didn't even think about it at first. I was like, you know what? Actually, that makes sense. Like, swaying where you want to sign at in free agency could be like, yeah, you're signing this like $100 million contract, and 75 million of it you don't even get to keep. So like, how much of that contract is even valuable in the first place?
Well, that goes back to our idea of like just moving the Bears to a different state and then keeping the name, and then you don't have to worry about it at all.
Right? Well, that was exactly what I was thinking. Is it's like, well, we're sitting here thinking, well, to go to California, you're losing your money. Like, the Bears are almost going to make more money just by not having to pay Chicago taxes, because it's going to be like we go from a higher tax base to a lower.
And then you bring in a while ago that even if you play in California and not even live there, you have to pay extra taxes.
Yeah, because there was talk that like the NFL's just like the Players Association is like, please don't host the Super Bowl in California anymore, because with all the extra fees and things that go along with it, like certain players end up having to like not even make money. They're in the red and like having to pay money back because of playing there.
I'm looking it up. Yeah, California pays an extra 13.3%, which would be, so like Phillip Rivers, he was getting taxed at 50%, so half his salary was gone. Now, some of the other players, it looks like, are kind of close, depending on where they live with the extra. But Kaepernick was at 49.9. I don't know how old this was. Of course, I don't know who does a graphic and doesn't put a date in it. Right? Thanks. But yeah, I mean, having that type of pressure could change some of the stuff. Because if the owner gets subsidies from the taxpayers and then the players are just paying the taxes back, then you're in the same problem with NIL. I talked about the Big Ten being in there. How does that affect players if you get into that shared salary thing then? Right? Because right now, the way it works in college is you go to a school, like even Florida, I don't think they have an income tax. You're getting paid your NIL there. You file in the state you're earning it in. If you're getting paid as from like the conference and every TV deal, are you going to have income from every state that you play in? Like that has to be a nightmare, right? I'm sure that they're going to work it around where you're just getting paid directly from the school, and then the school wouldn't worry about paying that type of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the graph here, and NFL player salary, Illinois is in the black because of taxes. So if they're in the black and Chicago's trying to move out where Indiana's not, and they're in the blue, and I don't know what this graphic means because it doesn't say anything. It just says the average per year is whatever, 30-something thousand. I don't know if that's taxes or what. But if Illinois is in the black because they're one of the worst ones, yeah, why not move to Indiana? It doesn't matter what side of the state you're on or what side of the city you're on, because Buffalo would kind of be the same thing. If they really wanted to, couldn't they just play like, I don't know how close that is to Niagara Falls, if they could just play on the other side, or even if it's close enough to Erie, you could ideally just live in the other state, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
Cleveland's close to Erie too. Like they could eventually just go in. What if Pennsylvania just said, hey, you know what? Build the Brown Stadium in Erie. We'll just give them a big tax break. Keep calling them Cleveland. We don't care. Right? What's the difference? Like you're bringing in just a bunch of high income people there to get some taxes in that you wouldn't have had anyway. If you don't have a team, you get zero taxes. You bring in a team, then you're getting some, even if it's less than what they would have been paying in the other state. So we might even start to see some of that ownership type thing where it's like, hey, and it's going to trickle down to college. It's like, hey, we can get higher athletes in here if we pay them more, and then they're not paying as much taxes, because that's going to be a recruiting pitch. Like, bro, you really want to play there? You better believe Notre Dame's bringing that up. Yeah, we're paying you a little bit less, but in California, your taxes are going to be a hit if you go to USC. Oh, I never thought of that, Coach. Yeah, buddy, I got your back. We're in Indiana. They're moving to Bears here. Did you hear that? They're like, no, I didn't, Coach. There's a reason they're moving to Bears here, buddy. Taxes. Which I don't even know if that's the real reason or what. They want the taxpayers to pay for it, but I don't want the taxpayers to pay for it either.
Well, geez, in Chicago, there's like constant issues with crime. They're probably like, please let's just get out of Chicago so we don't have to deal with that anymore.
Is the other side cleaner? I don't know. It has to be really close.
Can't be worse.
Has to be really close though, right? Make sure it's not, what was it, San Francisco players complaining about? The power grid thing or whatever? Causing them to get injured. The magnetic field. I just imagine a bunch of players and a bunch of gypsies walking around. Like, the magnet's too strong right here. No wonder McCaffrey needs to run off the field and heal up every couple minutes. But the last thing I had for the show this week, it's prime video game season. And I brought this up, it's kind of circling back to the top of the show. We talked about basketball. And they bring back college football. once again, and they're expanding it to where now you can have college football playing on your computer, and they're bringing it to mobile. So I was talking to someone that I know that's close, working on some of the stuff, and they told me that last year, I knew that the last year college football game had like low ratings and stuff, but apparently with the NIL stuff and the way things are working out, some teams were threatening to not join. And so they're expanding the game to try to bring in other revenue values for some of the players with NIL. I'm pretty surprised that they didn't bring it to the Nintendo Switch, because like secretly that's what I've been hoping for still. I don't know how the phone one's going to work. I'm more of someone that just plays like franchise, right? Playing, doing like some of the coaching stuff. I don't care about playing online or collecting cards or whatever in a game. But sitting around coaching, like you can play some franchise mode here or there. Is the phone going to be worth? Like, is it going to be worth it? People playing the cards are what's going to be paying the NIL. But there was also that thing, which I tried to find out if it was hardcore, like truth or not. I don't know if we even talked about it on the show, but there was a rumor that the AD of Delaware put out a campaign where they were like, hey, if you win the national championship playing as Delaware, you can enter a drawing to win money. So all you need to do is like send us your player ID so that we can verify that you did this. And so like tons of people were playing as Delaware. And part of the NIL deal for the game is that the most played teams got a bigger cut of the revenue, to where Delaware out of nowhere is like one of the top 10 schools then in the game or whatever. And they got like $10 million for their athletic department. I don't know how true that is, but if it's true, where
hats off. If it's true,
great idea. And now I wonder, are we going to see some real improvements to the game? Because like people that played Madden have known Madden is basically the exact same. You can pick up Madden if you haven't played since like 2012. It is the exact same game. Graphics might look different. Some of the plays might be different, but you're not relearning the game, right? I think they actually, for college football, I saw that they put shifting back in, where before you could like shift and have your guys motion out. And it used to work awesome back in like college football 2014, where you could run the wildcat and you could have that guy run across and you could either hand it off to him or pitch it. Remember that? I had my whole offense based on that. As I like doing, because you could have your own playbooks, and people have complained about the playbooks you're not able to use like a custom playbook and all this stuff. So I really want to see how the game is different. And I want to see if players are actually getting any kickback, or the schools are, because I feel like there has to be some level. And for the first time with the mobile game, we're actually going to see that, because if you're on your phone, I don't know if Apple has it, but right now I have Android. I'm bringing it up right now. I'm going to read the numbers off. You can just type in the game and it will tell you how many people have downloaded it. So by far, the soccer game EA makes, FC, has been downloaded 500 million times. An insane number, right? And so I was curious, because EA Sports also does a Madden one and an NBA one. The NBA one has been downloaded 100 million times, which is mind-blowing to me, because Madden on the phone has only been downloaded 10 million times. So that's a fraction of what the NBA game pulls in terms of playing on the phone. Now, I don't know. I've never played a basketball game on the phone. Like, I'm assuming you're going to have like the crummy like touchscreen controllers. But then again, I don't know. Is it just a card collecting? I never played Madden either. So I might pull that in when the college football one launches. I think it's launching maybe in July. I'm going to try to bring that in. I might try to do a little investigating and see, because to me, that's a huge gap. People are so fed up with Madden that it is being downloaded so little that it is insane that only, because how many people have phones, dude? If the soccer game's getting downloaded 500 million times and basketball is 100 million, how is Madden only getting 10 million downloads? Because it's free, right? So people out of 10 million, how many people are actually even paying to play like the card type game that they make money? Probably not many. And I don't think EA makes a baseball version because I think Sony makes the baseball game right now. And so as we're getting into peak off-season content, we're talking about the future of like college football and how popular is it? Because NFL, a lot of people watch. Maybe there is a shift because I doubt old people are downloading NBA on their phones and playing basketball games on their phone. Now, it isn't translating into people watching the games on TV though, right? You're getting 6 million people watching your NBA finals or whatever, but you're getting 100 million people downloading your game. It makes no sense. Like you get 20 million people watching an average NFL game. Only half of them are downloading the app. Insanity. I don't know what the difference is going to be. So I'm curious to see what numbers, because even if we wait till next summer, and we look at it, how much is college football going to be there? Because there were rumors last time that college football was pulling in the most money compared to like Madden. The only sport game I heard it was behind was the soccer one, which is more worldwide, which it makes sense, right? So that's my update there. And the last thing I had to bring in, because right now NHL isn't anywhere either. I don't even think you can play NHL on computer. I don't think you can play it on Switch NHL. So the NHL, if I'm them, I'm getting back together because I think that's what baseball did is that they went back to Sony and said, hey, you got to get this off PlayStation. We're getting no money from this. You need to put it on Switch and Xbox and everything else. And so that's why it started to make its rounds. I don't know if you can play it on computer. I didn't see a mobile version. Let me do one more check since we're on, because that way I'll be true. But how are they going to really make any money from that? Who knows? Because there are some baseball games on here, but it's not the official one, which is at 10 million, just for comparison. Well, I don't know what this game is. MLB 9 innings. So basically the same numbers that Madden's pulling in, which is crazy. How's Madden not getting the same numbers as some of these other sports? But that's my last thing. Will the NFL start to care? Because if younger people aren't viewing, there's going to be some type of trade-off eventually. Maybe not right away, maybe 5-10 years from now. Fantasy football will start to die off. You keep adding more games, putting Wednesday games on. People just stop watching. And then what happens? But that's all I have. Do you have anything else you want to talk about this week?
There was one last thing that jumped out at me. Earlier, St. Francis University in Loretto made the jump from Division I back to Division III. And on June 3rd, they announced that they're changing their mascot from the Red Flash to the Red Bull. And so it just makes me think that, you're trying to rebrand as you're changing divisions. And now with all of your facilities and university now rebranding, now you got to go through that whole process of investing even more money to have to change logos and banners and signs and all the stuff in all of your buildings to reflect the new change.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I will say St. Francis, I've been there. The facilities are out of date. Way out of date. You've been there recently, right?
Yep.
I don't know if you want to speak on it, but I do know I have been hearing directly that they're in more trouble than what they're letting on. So I would not be surprised. And I think I've been talking about this. I didn't realize how many like D3 colleges there were. I think I was way under what the number actually is, where there's like hundreds of these schools. I'm sticking to my guns. I brought this up a couple weeks ago. I still think that a lot of these D3 schools are going to be merged or get rid of sports or do whatever. Nick Saban went to that court thing and he was saying, if you guys don't step in, These schools are going to make the Olympic sports club sports. That's exactly what I said on the show. And I don't think anyone cares, because how many Americans are even getting those scholarships now? Because they did that was it soccer or tennis I talked about, where one of their leading body commissioner things were saying that like almost all of the top athletes on these teams in the NCAA tournament are international students. So how is it helping the United States Olympics team? It's not. Our colleges are training Olympic sports athletes from other countries. If everything went back to club, I wouldn't be surprised if the United States did even better at the Olympics, because then you're not having international students try to come here and get trained for free and heck, get paid NIL and then go back home and compete for their country in the Olympics. So looking at that, if you want to, that's my thoughts on it. I don't care. No one watches these sports. Who's paying for them? Oh, football and basketball to a lesser extent. Right? Why take that money away from the dudes making the money? Football, like, you're not going to get hurt really throwing a shot put. Right? How many guys do you hear about like, oh yeah, they're dead. They're done. Matt, like, oh, their life is over. They're like, can't walk anymore from throwing the shot put at so-and-so college. Like in football, that's a real thing that could happen at any time. You get hit the wrong way, someone tackled, you rip your own hip out of place like Bo Jackson, and then you're just struggling. Like, what are you doing? So that's we'll keep an eye on St. Francis. I'm here. They're not in a good way. They're not in a good way. And now they're in the smaller conference. They're rebranding. You're not going to be able to get the recruits. What's going to happen to them? I don't know. Will they get bought out? They're not in a good spot. Because I've heard a lot of like schools, especially down here, like the Duke has been looking for more places that have like hospitals to merge in with, right? And they can do whatever. I talked about even Michigan doing this, where Michigan could theoretically put a campus anywhere if they really wanted to, as like a satellite campus that only focused like on one thing. So because Michigan, I think right now has a business school in LA. Isn't that what brought that on? And I was joking that we should put one in Miami too, right? Get those recruits coming up for football and have like the training facility there. And heck, even put our baseball there. Like, yeah, have baseball and softball just be in the Miami campus of Michigan. It makes 0 sense, but heck, could win the national championship, Matt. So any school, like if you're in a good spot, and St. Francis, I just don't know if they're in a good spot, in a good location, right? If they're closer to like Altoona or Johnstown or a bigger area, I could see. I just don't know what happens long term. But that's a good thing to bring in, dude. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.